Nation. Welcome to another episode of Carla's channel, Heart to Heart Inspiration Podcast. I am your host, Carla J, the Queen of Inspiration, and I am so happy you're here today. Today, you are in for a treat. You're going to meet Nurse Eunice Mathis, a powerhouse behind the Florida Training Academy. She just hit 1 million subscribers. And she is launching her very own TV show. It's called The Nurse Eunice TV Show. And she is talking about boss nurse moves. Whoop, whoop. Yay! From bedside nursing to building a globally recognized healthcare training company, Eunice is proof that nurses can transform their careers and impact the world. In this inspiring interview, we're going to dive into her journey as a nurse entrepreneur, her tips for building a thriving business, and how she's empowering others through healthcare education. So without further ado, we welcome to the stage Eunice Mathis.
Carla, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And thank you for such a wonderful introduction.
Thank you. Just so the world knows, you have been one of my sheroes and you didn't even know it. I ran across your CPR videos with Florida Training Academy, and I was studying to actually become a CPR instructor. And I was looking online and I found you, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this nurse right here is the bomb.com. So I just want to tell you, thank you so much. You're inspiring people, and I appreciate all that you do.
No, thank you. And so the reason why I made those videos was to help other instructors, because I remember starting off and not having the help. And so I'm happy you found the videos. I'm happy that you're a CPR instructor in addition to being a nurse. And of course, this is Cardiac Awareness Month. So anybody who's watching, if you need CPR, you got me and you got Carla. There are no excuses.
I love it. I love it. And Nurse Eunice, what she does on her channel, she goes through exams. Like, she makes up these awesome questions that are pertinent and, just like a nursing instructor would. And she gets it down and really tells you the rationale because you want to know that. And she'll explain all of that on her channel. So,
Yes.
Eunice, let's get right into it. Did you ever imagine your career would lead to owning Florida Training Academy, inspiring millions? And now a TV show?
I did not, but God has a sense of humor. So I'm going to be honest, I kind of chose nursing by default. Of 17, finishing high school, and they were like, it was work as a social worker, a teacher, or a nurse. And I kind of excluded myself. I didn't want to work with kids. I didn't want to teach kids. I didn't want to take anyone's kids. So by default, I chose nursing. And so now I've gone to school for 4 years. I just turned 22. I have a bachelor's degree. And my first week on the floor, I said, I don't like this. I am not working like this. I went to school for 4 years. 1 week, I gave myself 10 years. And so I would still work. I would travel. I had other business ventures. But within 10 years, I had left the bedside completely.
Wow.
But I strategized. I didn't do it all at one time. And so now Florida Training Academy, one of the CNAs, we still work together today. Her name's Loretta. And so she came up to me and she was like, hey, these babies are failing their test and we have to do something about it. And I'm like, girl, who is we? I had enough on my plate. And so I created the curriculum, fast track curriculum, and she helped teach the classes. And to this day, we're still together teaching. And so that's how we started with the CNA business. Now, how does it become global? You remember when Master P used to sell CDs out of his trunk? I was doing blended learning before it was a thing. Because we did the fast track courses, I had to find an advantage for my students to make sure they passed their exams. And so the advantage was I invested $600 at this guy with this big old camera come and record me do all my skills. And I was selling DVDs for $75 each. And then I converted that DVD when YouTube had started. I took it to like this editing company and had them convert it to digital files, uploaded them. So my students, one of the benefits of you taking my course was that you saw my training videos. No one else had access to them. I limited them to only my students because I didn't want anyone copying my material. But guess what? They just take my class and copy it anyway. So it was only 3 years ago that I started making my videos public.
Really?
3 years.
Wow.
1 million subscribers.
Years, million subscribers. My goodness. Wow. That is a testimony right there.
Yes, I was hiding God's gift because I didn't want anyone else to take it. As if someone can take what God had blessed me with. But so don't bury your talents. That's something I'll tell people. They can try to copy you, but they can't copy your gift. Yeah, so now hey, if you want to copy me, it's okay. I'm gonna create a video. What question do you have?
Love it. And that's great advice for anyone. You just don't have to be a nurse to be an entrepreneur, but and I've seen you on your videos, you help everyone. There is a way for everyone to become an entrepreneur. You encourage that, and you also even started a fingerprint business.
Yes, yep. And I teach other people how to do the fingerprints. It didn't make any sense. So like everything I do is strategic. Everything has synergy. And so what do CNAs need? CNAs need CPR. Well, I have to become that instructor. But then it got to the point where so many of my CNAs that we had trained up were now nurses and some were even doctors. So am I going to lose that audience or am I going to grow with my audience? And in growing with my audience, but now we have ACLS, we have PALS. And if you don't understand these terms, just know there's different levels of CPR for different professions. Well, then nurses want to be business owners. And now CNAs need to have fingerprints and nurses and doctors have to have their fingerprints done. It seems like it's a whole bunch. So something I like to tell people is don't try to eat the whole cow at once. Because when you're looking at what I'm doing, you have to understand I've been doing this for years and I've been buying equipment for years. So you just do a little bit at a time. And when you look back, you would have accomplished a lot. So don't do a whole bunch at once because you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to end up doing nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And just to get a little bit off track, behind you, do I see the YouTube? I see a YouTube award back there.
Yes, that's the silver one. Can I tell you that again, God has a sense of humor. So silver was for 100,000. And so I got that within 1 year. And now with 1 million, these plaques are not free. You have to pay
Wow.
for these plaques. I earned that 1 million and I went
Yeah,
ahead and I bought me a plaque.
I love it.
But
Yeah.
I can't really, even be too mad because to have 1 million subscribers and to be paid to create content that I would have created anyway. It's such a blessing. And like even like my advertising expenses, I don't have to advertise. I don't have to use paid advertisement because I have such a large platform. And
Okay.
so what you're doing right now is so vital. Helping those nurses, getting it out there that
Mhm.
nurses do more than just work at the bedside. We're
That's
everywhere.
right. Yes. And I love what you said before, that you are really helping others because I saw on one of your episodes, you were actually sharing how much you made on YouTube. You are
Hmm.
actually going through that. So when you say that God taught you a lesson, that you don't have to hide it because what's for you is for you. Can't
That's right.
nobody
That's
take
right.
that. I think somebody in the audience need to hear that.
I mean, who would have thought a crazy nurse and this Android got me 500,000 subscribers. So I need you to start with whatever you have. The video quality is better with an iPhone, but I wasn't going to be bullied into getting an iPhone.
Yes, yes. And y'all, she talks about all of that on her videos. Just go back a couple of years. That's how I found her and I was addicted. She gives such information, good information. She's transparent and you just find yourself being inspired. And that's why I'm so happy to have her on because that's what we do on this channel. We inspire one another. Thank you, Eunice, so much. So you talked about that journey a little bit. So about how many nurses I know you talk to a lot of nurses. So many times nurses have business ideas, but they feel stuck. And I'm going to say nurses, but really anyone, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes you just feel stuck. What was your first step in turning your vision into reality? And what would you say to encourage someone else?
Don't be afraid to fail. And if you're going to fail fast. And then once you fail, you're not really failing, you're learning. And sometimes you have to pivot. So I'm not a big fan of business plans. When you think of a business plan, that's when you're trying to seek funding from a bank. I do business models instead. So each of the services, each of the products, for me, that's a different pillar of my business. So my business probably has 10 different pillars. So when one pillar doesn't make enough money because of the seasons, the
Mhm.
other pillar will pick up. And so definitely I failed with those other businesses. In transparency, I learned marketing. I learned how to build websites because of Black Planet. My page was the best. My name was Black Cutie Pie. And you would go on there, had the
Wow.
twinkling stars. So it's like, it's so crazy. Like in the MySpace days, we had to do all this stuff. And
Mhm.
so now when someone's like, oh, I need a website designer, I'm like, website designer? I do that. Sales owned a business, a retail business called Bodylicious. And the first month it made $17,000. The next
Wow.
month it three.
Wow.
And so that was right before the 2008 collapse. And so I went bankrupt. My tenants weren't paying their rent. So I pretty much lost everything, had to start all over again. So in starting out, I lost everything except for the business. So in
Mhm.
starting all over again, it teaches you how to start small and to stay lean.
Mm.
And I know how businesses flow. So if I have a good month, that money has to last me 2 or 3 months. And I'm not afraid to pivot. If I fail, I'm going to do it fast. And then if I need to pivot, I need to offer another service, or I may need to revamp something. I'm not afraid to do it because I have confidence in myself, but it's this
Mm.
God-given confidence because as long as I'm doing it unto the Lord, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to cheat anybody. And the ideals keep coming. Another thing is, I think the ideals keep coming because God knows that I'm crazy enough to actually not just write down the ideal, but to actually implement it.
That's a word right there. That's so awesome that you shared that. Not many people will share that they lost everything, you know, but I love how you used it as a lesson, as a turning point. You didn't let it stop you. People in your life may say, just stop. You're doing too much. When are you just going to be a nurse? Did anybody ever say that to you?
So it's so funny when people say, "Oh, you're doing too much." They're usually the people who aren't doing anything. And so I have always tried to make sure that I'm using. So even going to nursing school, finishing high school at 17, going right into nursing school, earning a bachelor's degree back in the day before other brown people had bachelor's degrees. Do you know how hard that was for me to go onto the floor, being the only person of color with a bachelor's degree?
Right.
Yeah, they tried to eat me alive, but I was from Duval and they don't know I had just gotten my gold teeth removed. I didn't play with them. Having that grit and that tenacity is just so important. Okay.
Yep.
So yes, having grit and having tenacity is just so important. It's vital, especially in these times right now, because if you just give up anytime you have resistance or you give up anytime someone doubts you, you're
Mhm.
not going to get far. So I just made a post a few minutes ago that says, believe your beliefs and doubt your doubts, but also doubt your doubters.
Wow. I love that. That's such great information and advice to pass on. I love that
Mhm.
so much. And someone out there, I know you're wondering, like, but how can I do it? Just look at Eunice's old videos. But Eunice, you also have your TV show. Tell
That's
us
right.
how that works, the excitement around it and what you hope to accomplish with it.
Well, my audience, if any of my audience right now are watching, they love me so much they want to keep me in a box. And so anytime I try to talk about anything besides helping you pass a test, helping you pass a test, it's like they forget that I am multifaceted and I help
Mm.
business owners. I teach CPR. I have a son. So I had to figure out a way strategically to separate myself from my business. So
Mm.
now Florida Training Academy has its channel and this brand because you want to be thinking about a succession plan. If I decide to sell Florida Training Academy, I still have my own personal brand. So that's when I started pushing Nurse Eunice. And so with the Nurse Eunice brand, I can talk about lifestyle. I can actually show more things and it'll be so funny. I would have a video saying, hey, this video isn't for CNAs. In this video, we're going to talk about AI. And someone's in the chat and they're like, when's your next CNA video? So the theory behind the Nurse Eunice TV show is that I get to actually be Eunice
Okay.
and I can show more of, things that I want to talk about. I have different collaborations with realtors, with my good
Mm.
friends, with people in the community. I'm even looking for an attorney, someone to go on with me and to talk about dating as a medical professional or dating as a
Mm.
professional woman because I'm seeing a lot of women who are losing, their houses, etc., through divorce. And so it's just things that I could talk about on the Nurse Eunice TV show that my audience on YouTube were frowned upon.
Because they're used to that segment. They are used
Mhm.
to seeing you in that. One thing, I love how you say you're multifaceted. One thing that I know I hear a lot of from people is because I'm like that too. I have a lot of things, a lot of different arms. I'm a nurse, I'm a doula, I'm a CPR instructor, I'm a speaker, a podcast host. I just love it all, right? So I appreciate you sharing that. To those people who say you just need a niche, one niche, and just go with that, what would you say to that?
And I want you to start off with one niche only because of analytics and the algorithm. You start off, but then you need to grow at your audience. And so if you can't grow at your audience, if I only talk about CNAs and I have decades of nursing knowledge, I'm not being true to myself. As an ACLS, as a PALS instructor, I train doctors too. So I'm not going to allow anyone to put me in a box. Plus, the way my brain works, anytime you try to put me in a box, I'm trying to claw my way out of it. So I initially, yes, niche down. But then after you niche down, because YouTube and even TikTok, it allows you to have playlists. And so I have a playlist for CPR. I have a playlist for CNA. I have a playlist for NCLEX prep. And so that allows me to be multifaceted. And even then, you can do a search and hopefully you can find what you're looking for. But I would tell anyone who I say, because back in our days, they didn't test you for it. I am a very high functioning, I have ADHD, but I function well. God given. All my life, I was told that I was smart. I was smart. I was smart. And so speak life into your kids because if you're telling them things like that, they have to live up to it. And maybe they saw something in me at the time that I didn't know because I'm just a kid. I'm thinking that everyone thinks like this. Yeah. So now I know that, yes, I am unique. I am a unicorn, but I just try to use that, for the best. And I wish more people would do that. Sometimes when they're super smart, they try to find a way to scam and a scheme instead of finding a way to give back.
Yeah, that's so true. A little bit, you talked about your son. What is your purpose of what you're doing? And is it to leave a legacy? What is it? What would you like for your son to remember about his mom?
Well, he's very proud of his mom because he can go around the whole school and say, my mom has 1 million subscribers. So he's very proud. When we first started off, I started off by helping him. And so it was actually a Father's Day. And at the time, his father hadn't reconciled with him. And so his father refused to meet him. My father did me the same way for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. And because my dad had did it to me, and I forgave him because of how my mom forgave him, my son was able to do the same thing. So we're in the house, we got cameras set up, and he and I did an interview on what it was like to be a fatherless son.
Wow.
Yes. And so a year later, he wasn't fatherless anymore.
Oh,
And
no.
so, yes, God did it.
Right.
So as far as my son, he knows mom gonna be on that camera. Let me be quiet. She has to make her money, and he has shown an interest in YouTube, but I need for him to be more consistent. Like if I need him to edit a video or something, he will. As a mom, it's kind of hard with a son because he'll annoy me more than he'll annoy anyone else. So to have him in the office, because I could teach him how to do thumbnails, how to do descriptions. He can do some things, but it's like, dude, you're getting on my nerve. With love, mommy. And so, but
Yes,
he,
yes.
he he is a help. He is a definite blessing. As far as the legacy is concerned, I want to make sure that he's not getting it out of the mud. And if he does have to get it out of the mud, then I am the mud he's getting it from. So I have the insurance policy set up. I have the house and the trust. I'm really careful about, when someone is considering dating me, what do they have to lose? What do they have to offer? So all that comes into play in protecting his legacy. Yeah. That's my people CEO.
Love
Oh,
that.
let me tell you this, right? Because I was like, dude, why do you want to go to high school? I think like we rushed out of high school because we were broke and we ain't had no money. But he like, no, I want to go to high school. So I was like, well, once you get out of high school, because he wanted to be a coder, as far as like computers, but now AI can do its own codes. And I wasn't going to tell him that. He got in the car one day and he said, hey, mom, I switched it. I want to do such and such because AI can now do what I want to go to college for. And I said, well,
Wow.
son, I just need you to give me 1 year. Once you complete high school, give me 1 year. I want you to get your LPN license, not so that you can work as a nurse, but so that if something happens to me, you can take over this business and people will look at you more credibly because you're actually a nurse. And I said, anybody else you need, you can hire. And he agreed.
All right. Yes, and I'm happy he agreed. You know, before, I don't know about you, but before when I was growing up and was saying I want to be a nurse, there wasn't a lot of men in nursing. It was looked upon as a gender specific type of field, you know, for women. But now there are so many men in nursing. My two nephews are in nursing now, you know, and that is a great thing that he agreed to that. That's so awesome.
It is. And again, I need you to finish your clinicals. You're going to learn the basics, but then after that, it's time for you to learn this business.
Yes,
Because I don't
yes.
want anyone to be like, oh, well, she gave her son the business just because he's her son. No, he's been there. He knows how to do the ads. He can answer the phones. He understands the systems. And more importantly, he's a nurse. So he deserves the business.
Wow, I love that. I never heard it from that aspect. So thank you for sharing that. See, y'all, these are the business tips we're talking about. Just dropping nuggets. So I hope you're writing them down. So, Eunice, give us a sneak peek. We're going to get ready to wrap up, and this has been so much fun. I can't wait to just dive in more when we get to your TV show. But
Yes.
give us a little sneak peek you want of what you do on your show. I think you had like Boss Nurse Moves, Boss Academy. You had the word boss everywhere. Show us that, and then why is that so important to you?
So I started with my necklace and my gold teeth because I'm still hood. That said
Not
boss,
ready. They're
but
not ready.
faceted. Do not put baby in the corner. But with the Boss Nurse Academy, it's about, and it's not just for nurses, it's for anybody who wants to turn their skills into profits. And so it's going to be a 4-week masterclass that can be done remotely, or if you're in Jacksonville, of course, you can attend live. But it's going to teach pretty much everything that we're doing now, but at a higher level, because I had to learn all this over years. What if somebody sat down with you and taught you about lighting, about your microphones, how to save money, how to actually start your social media? Because nurses are great at being nurses, but we're not great at being business owners. And so what do? We spend a whole bunch of money. We spend a whole bunch of money. We spend a whole bunch of money.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you just could have paid one fee and have somebody like me teach you what to do. And like you already said, I don't gatekeep. So if I can give you this much knowledge for free, imagine how much more I'm going to give you once you decide to turn your skills into profits. And so, yeah, so anything from I use AI so much. We have virtual assistants. I have systems in place that it makes it appear as if I have this huge team. I have a team of 3 part-time instructors and an intern. That's all we have. And each of those has their own role. So the CNA instructor is not posting ads. I get those other ones. We have someone who posts ads, someone who helps me with content creation, someone who helps advertise the CPR business, someone who actually teaches the CPR classes, because I refuse. I'm no longer doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost 50 and I want to stay looking almost 50. I want to stay looking like this. And I had too many people pulling on me. And so
Mm-hmm.
I had to really separate myself. I exercise now. And
Mm-hmm.
it was a wise woman. She's also a nurse entrepreneur. And she's the owner of a local senior helpers franchise here in Jacksonville. I went to her office because I used to provide training to her staff. And I went to her office and she said, hey, I just got through swimming. And she has this big, beautiful dog. And I'm like, Kathy, how do you do everything? Because I'm around here being a single mom trying to run a business. I'm struggling. And
Right.
Kathy gave me permission to give myself grace.
Yeah.
Kathy told me that I don't win at everything at once.
Mm.
Sometimes I win at family. Sometimes I win at health. But when I look back over a period of time, because I also focused on self, at some point, I was able to just see the needle moving in the right direction. And so I had to give myself grace. For a
Yes.
while, not that that's a good thing. For a while, I couldn't prioritize health because I was building a business. But
Right.
now we meal prep, we do everything we're supposed to in order to lose weight. And me and my son are losing weight now. So just give yourself grace. You can't do everything at once. The economy's changing. You have to figure out how to work full time, how to grow a business, how to make sure you make time for your church, your family, etc. Make
Yes.
time for yourself.
Look, that's some great advice there. There was a time I would stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning. And what happened with my health? I used to have great knees, but now my knees are bad. I have to get knee injections. And my husband is like, you're at the computer 24/7. Get up. I was like, I got to do this. I got to do this. But what's going to happen? if I'm gone or if I can't even stand up anymore. So you are so right. You got to take care of yourself. Got to
That's
take
right.
care of
So
yourself.
I ended up with a hip replacement after I started working remotely. My
See?
son was, yep. So it was like sitting down all day. I had to do what I needed to do because he was, a single mom. And I was like, well, I can't work 12-hour shifts. So I'm going to work for this remote company and do insurance adjustments or what have you. But yeah, that's when my hip really got bad. So if you don't move it, you lose it. And with that being said, your girl moves it a lot now. I am not sitting down. I am not. They say you're not getting old. You just need to stretch.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So to close us out, Nurse Eunice, you have given us so many nuggets and so many great business tips. We thank you for sharing and being transparent with us. And to close us out, what is one quote you're living by today?
Okay, got it. Excuses don't pay bills, actions do. So no excuses. You gotta do something. Your situation ain't changed. You've been doing the same thing. I'm finna. I'm finna. You've been finna do something for a long time. I need you to actually do it. Don't be afraid. If you need help, you have myself, you have Carla, the Boss Nurse Academy, the master class. Remember, you don't have to be a nurse. We're waiting for you. We want to take some actionable steps. We're going to help you do your deliverables. And at the end of those 4 weeks, you're going to be far ahead. That's how you're going to start your 2026. You're going to start your 2026 by already having some concrete ideals, a business strategy, and a business plan, because I'm going to help you create it.
And she said that like a boss, y'all, like a boss. I love it. And so, where can they find you, Eunice? Let us know again. Where can we find you?
All right. So the easiest way is my website is nurseeunice.com. Once you're on nurseeunice.com, it's kind of like a link tree. It's going to show you my author's page. Yes, I'm an author. I write books, I write journals, because again, I have ADHD. And if God gave me a moment, I'm like, it's a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and figure that out. But I write it down. I write everything down. Where do I write them at? In a journal. So if you don't have a journal, but you have a piece of paper, make that your journal. Start writing some things down. So nurseeunice.com. And then if you go to YouTube or TikTok or Facebook, you can just look for my name, which is Eunice Mathis. Yes, girl. So people say, I want to say this before we go, because for years we've been hearing that TikTok, they have the shorter attention span. I repurposed my long form videos. They're on YouTube because my babies here are like, Eunice, you're not on TikTok. And I'm like, I don't need to be on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I put those same long form videos on TikTok and they still get tens of thousands of views. So whatever they say doesn't apply to you, because if you have the content, those babies are going to sit there and listen. And they're looking for people like us for guidance. The problem is we don't want to talk to them. We don't want to talk to them where they're at. Come to us. And it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So that's it, girl. I ain't got nothing to say.
I love it. Show your book one more time. I love that.
Yeah, from
Pigtails
pigtails to
to
purpose.
purpose.
Thank
You all,
you.
you have no excuse. You got Nurse Eunice right there, and she's giving me some props, but she is the GOAT.
God's going to be giving you some downloads, whether you know it or not. Carla and I, we're praying for you. We're praying for your discernment. We're praying for your future. And I think Carla has a secret for you. I think there may be a part two.
Yes, yes. For those who hung around, this is a special episode right here, but you want to hear more from the Boss Nurse Academy and Nurse Eunice TV show, right? So there's going to be a part two. I'm going to be on her show next. I'm so excited. I'm going to be a student, and you're going to get a chance to talk to us again. So stay tuned, subscribe to both of our channels, and you're going to learn when I'm going to be on. And you're also going to see some more great people on her program. She is doing an awesome job, and she can help you too. So with that, Nurse Eunice, I'm going to close us out.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Heart Nation, and we will see you soon. Take care of yourselves and take care of one another.